The crystal chandeliers of Hampton Manor cast dancing shadows across the marble foyer as I wheeled my small suitcase past the judgmental stares of long-dead Hamptons. Their oil-painted eyes seemed to share my stepmother Victoria's disdain, another reminder that I didn't belong among these pillars of old money and older prejudices. "The maids' quarters are in the East Wing," Victoria announced, her Louboutins clicking against centuries-old hardwood. "It's perfect for your temporary situation." The pause was deliberate, dripping with the same condescension she'd perfected over 15 years of marriage to my father. Perfect indeed. The room's strategic location would give me an excellent view when the moving trucks arrived tomorrow. "How generous," I murmured, following her through the maze of corridors I'd memorized as a child. Before Mother died, before Victoria swept in with her social connections and carefully curated pedigree, I'd hidden in these halls playing pretend. Now, at 32, I was about to make those childhood games very real. My stepsister Olivia appeared at the top of the grand staircase, Hermes scarf artfully arranged. "Mother, surely the servants' quarters? What will people say?" "They'll say we're charitable," Victoria replied, shooting me a practiced smile. Taking in poor Elizabeth during her unfortunate financial situation. The unfortunate situation was their assumption that my tech company had failed. They'd seen the for sale sign outside my modest office building, heard rumors of employees leaving, watched my car downgrade from Tesla to Toyota. All carefully orchestrated, of course, but they'd drawn exactly the conclusions I'd wanted. "It's only temporary," I assured them, hiding my smile. "Just until the estate sale is finished." That got their attention. Victoria's perfectly Botoxed face twitched. "Estate sale? Oh, hadn't you heard?" I set my suitcase down carefully. "Hampton Manor is being sold. The new owner takes possession tomorrow morning." The chandelier light caught Victoria's white-knuckled grip on the banister. "Impossible. Charles would never dash." "Daddy didn't have a choice," I said softly. "The family trust is empty. The businesses are failing. Hampton Manor was the last valuable asset." Olivia's designer scarf slipped slightly. "But this is our home. We're Hamptons." "No, I thought you're the people who pushed their way into the Hampton family, systematically excluding the last true Hampton heir, me." The daughter Victoria had spent 15 years erasing from family photos and social events. "The maids' quarters are through here," Victoria continued quickly, masking her distress with practiced grace. "Mind the dust, we had to let most of the staff go months ago." The room was exactly as I remembered. Small, sparse, with a narrow window overlooking the estate's sprawling grounds. I'd played here as a child, fascinated by the servants' secret world hidden within the mansion's walls. "The bathroom is shared, of course," Olivia added with barely concealed glee. "We can't expect private facilities for temporary guests." I set my bag on the narrow bed, remembering the day I'd discovered the property listing. Hampton Manor, crown jewel of the family empire, secretly offered for sale as my father's businesses crumbled. Victoria and Olivia didn't know about the shell companies I'd created, the layers of corporate privacy that had hidden the buyer's identity. They also didn't know about Bitewise Technologies, the AI company I'd built while they mocked my little computer hobby. The same company that now processed data for half of Wall Street, its true ownership hidden behind the same privacy layers that had let me buy my childhood home. "Dinner is at 7, Victoria announced. "We still maintain standards, Elizabeth, even in difficult times. Do try to dress appropriately." I glanced at my simple black dress, a deliberate choice that screamed budget-conscious to their designer-trained eyes. Of course, I wouldn't want to embarrass the family. "Rather late for that," Olivia muttered, following her mother out. As their footsteps faded, I unpacked my laptop, the only piece of technology that betrayed my carefully crafted image of failure. Opening Bitewise secure server, I confirmed tomorrow's arrangements. Moving truck scheduled. Security team briefed. Law firm ready with the revelation that would shatter Victoria's carefully constructed world. My phone buzzed. A message from the real estate agent. Final papers signed. Revelation meeting set for 9 a.m. Perfect timing. Victoria always took her coffee in the conservatory at 8, planning her social calendar. Tomorrow's planning would be interrupted by the news that Hampton Manor belonged to the stepdaughter she'd banished to the servants' quarters. A distant dinner gong echoed through the corridors, Another Hampton tradition Victoria had appropriated. Time to join the family for what would be their last dinner as masters of Hampton Manor. I changed into my carefully chosen dress, adding a worn cardigan that made Victoria wince when I'd worn it at Christmas. Every detail mattered in this performance, right up until tomorrow's grand finale. After all, revenge is a dish best served in the servants' quarters. The Hampton Manor dining room hadn't changed since my childhood, still dominated by the massive mahogany table that could seat 30 but usually hosted just 4. My father Charles, Victoria, Olivia, and whatever version of me they deemed acceptable that day. Tonight I was apparently the fallen tech entrepreneur reduced to begging family charity. If they only knew that Bytewise AI systems were probably processing their dwindling credit card transactions at this very moment. Elizabeth, Victoria gestured to a seat far from the head of the table. You'll sit there. We've moved the family closer together since reducing staff. I hid my smile behind my napkin. Tomorrow they'd learn just how reduced their staff would become. Charles will be late, Victoria announced, signaling the remaining butler to serve. Board meeting about the sale. Such tedious business matters. Olivia adjusted her Cartier bracelet, probably bought with the trust fund that should have been split between us. Daddy said we might keep a few rooms. The new owner couldn't possibly need all this space. Actually, I cut into my salmon. I heard the buyer plans significant changes. Modern technology infrastructure, complete renovation. Victoria's fork clattered against fine china. Renovation? But Hampton Manor is historic. So is dial-up internet, I murmured, thinking of the quantum computing center planned for the East Wing, right where they'd put me in the servants' quarters. The butler appeared with wine, French, expensive and probably unpaid for given the family's hidden financial state. Madam, Mr. Hampton has arrived. My father entered, looking older than his 60 years. Losing an empire aged even the proudest Hampton. Victoria, Olivia. Elizabeth. He paused at my name, probably wondering why his eldest daughter was sitting in the servants' section. Charles, darling, Victoria purred. Elizabeth was just sharing rumors about the buyer's renovation plans. Dad's face tightened. The buyer's identity is confidential. Part of the purchase agreement. Along with the price? I asked innocently. I heard it was quite a bargain given the manor's condition and the family's urgent needs. The muscle in his jaw twitched, a tell I remembered from childhood poker lessons. He knew exactly how desperate their situation was, even if Victoria and Olivia still lived in designer denial. Business matters aren't dinner conversation, Victoria cut in smoothly. Elizabeth dear, tell us about your, what was it called? Byte something. Bytewise Technologies, I supplied, watching their faces for any sign of recognition. Nothing. They'd been too busy maintaining appearances to notice my company's meteoric rise in the tech world. Such a shame it failed, Olivia said, not even trying to hide her satisfaction. Though we all knew tech was risky. Real families build lasting legacies, not computer programs. I thought of Bytewise market valuation, enough to buy Hampton Manor 10 times over. You're right. Programs aren't lasting. They're just the future. The future, Victoria sniffed, is tradition. Heritage. Things you never quite understood, Elizabeth. Oh, I understood perfectly. I understood how she'd systematically pushed me out after Mother died. How family heritage suddenly meant her heritage, her daughter, her vision of what the Hamptons should be. The butler appeared with dessert, imported chocolates that probably cost more than they could afford. Madam, the real estate agent called. The meeting tomorrow has been moved to 8:30. Victoria frowned. That's during my morning coffee in the conservatory. I'm sure the new owner will understand if you're slightly delayed, I offered, knowing exactly how understanding I planned to be. The new owner, Olivia declared, will obviously want to maintain the manor's standards. Mother's morning routine is part of Hampton tradition. I glanced at my father, wondering if he'd detected any of my carefully planted hints. But he was lost in his wine glass, probably calculating how many more bottles remained in the cellar he'd have to sell. Tradition, I mused, like the servants' quarters? Family looking after family? Victoria's smile tightened. We're being extremely generous, Elizabeth. Many families wouldn't take a struggling relative. My phone buzzed discreetly, another update from the moving company. Everything was ready for tomorrow's transition, including the security team that would ensure Victoria's morning routine happened somewhere else. Speaking of family tradition, I said carefully, remember when Mother used to let me help the staff clean the chandeliers? Such interesting perspectives from up there. Dad's head snapped up. He remembered, it had been our special time together before Victoria relegated such activities to the help. Manual labor is hardly appropriate for a Hampton, Victoria declared. Though given my current situation, I finished my wine. I have a rather unique perspective on things. Like family. And heritage. And who really belongs in the servants' quarters. The crystal chandelier light caught my simple watch deliberately worn instead of the tech industry standard Apple Watch. Tomorrow it would witness Victoria's face when she learned who really owned her precious manor. Well, I stood smoothing my bargain dress. Thank you for dinner. And the room. I should prepare for tomorrow's meeting. You're attending? Victoria frowned. That's hardly necessary. I smiled. Oh, I think my presence is very necessary. In fact, I insist. As I walked out, I heard Olivia's stage whisper. Mother, we can't have her there when the new owner arrives. What will people think? They'd think, I smiled to myself, that karma had finally caught up with the women who'd tried to erase me from my own family legacy. And they'd be right. Climbing the back stairs to my temporary quarters, I passed generations of Hampton portraits. Tomorrow they'd witness Victoria and Olivia learning that the stepdaughter they'd banished to the servants' wing now owned their precious manor. My phone buzzed again. Security team confirmed for 8 a.m. Removal truck standing by. Perfect. Victoria would have just settled into her morning coffee routine when her world collapsed. Timing, as they say in both tech and revenge, is everything. The morning sun crept across Hampton Manor's manicured lawns as I watched Victoria settle into her usual conservatory seat at precisely 8 a.m. From my vantage point in the servants' quarters, I could see her arranging her designer coffee cup and society calendar, blissfully unaware that neither would be needed after today. My phone buzzed. Security team in position. Moving trucks approaching from south entrance. Right on schedule. I changed into a crisp Chanel suit, my first deviation from the carefully crafted failed entrepreneur costume. The Hampton family signet ring, my mother's last gift, completed the transformation. Time to reclaim my heritage, one shocked expression at a time. Elizabeth. Olivia's voice carried up the service stairs. Mother says you can't possibly be attending the meeting. It's private family only. I smiled at my reflection. Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world. The manor's grand foyer was already filling with key players. The family lawyer looking nervous, the real estate agent checking documents, and my father staring out the window at approaching trucks he couldn't explain. Victoria's voice drifted from the conservatory. Charles, darling, why are there moving vans? The new owner doesn't take possession until the papers are signed. The papers, I announced, descending the main staircase in my power suit, were signed last night. Hampton Manor's ownership transferred at midnight. The silence was delicious. Elizabeth, Victoria's coffee cup clattered. What are you wearing? And why are you speaking about the sale? I reached the bottom step. Because as of 8 hours ago I own Hampton Manor. Along with all its contents, grounds, and staff contracts. The grandfather clock ticked 5 times before anyone spoke. Impossible, Olivia whispered. You're broke. Your company failed. Bitewise Technologies, I corrected, is currently valued at $8.2 billion. That little computer hobby you mocked? It processes data for half of Wall Street. The office sale you gossiped about? We moved to a bigger building, the one with our name on Manhattan's skyline. Victoria's perfectly manicured hands gripped her chair. Charles, she's lying. Tell her the buyer, my father said slowly, used shell companies. Privacy layers. We never knew. He turned to me. You did this deliberately. Like you deliberately let her push me out? I met his gaze. Watched while she erased every trace of mother, relegated your own daughter to family footnote? The security team entered silently, professionals who made Victoria's social army look like amateur hour. Ms. Hampton, my head of security approached. The moving trucks are ready. And the renovation team needs access to the East Wing. The East Wing. Victoria stood shakily. But that's where the servants' quarters are? Yes, I know. I slept there last night, remember? Tomorrow it becomes Bitewise Quantum Computing Center. We're bringing Hampton Manor into the digital age. Olivia's designer scarf had become a twisted rope in her hands. You can't just, we live here. Lived here, I corrected. Your eviction notices are being delivered now. Don't worry, I'm not completely heartless. You have 2 hours to pack personal items. Victoria's face had gone from Botox smooth to thunder. This is revenge. No, I settled into what had been her favorite chair. This is business. Hampton Manor needs modernization, new purpose, new leadership. Everything you fought against while clinging to your version of tradition. The renovation team began arriving, tech specialists and architects ready to transform the manor into Bitewise East Coast headquarters. The staff contracts, Victoria grabbed at straws. They're ironclad. You can't just dash. Already terminated, I held up my tablet. With generous severance packages. Unlike you, I believe in taking care of people who serve this house. My father hadn't moved from the window. The trust fund, your mother's inheritance, is still intact, I confirmed. The money you thought was gone? Invested in Bitewise early days. Mother always said to bet on myself. She'd have loved seeing her investment transform the manor she loved. Security began quietly removing Victoria's precious family portraits, the ones that had mysteriously replaced photos of my mother. Where are we supposed to go? Olivia demanded. I hear the Continental has lovely long-term rates, I smiled. Though you might need to adjust your shopping habits. The trust fund transfers back to Hampton Control today too. Victoria's composure finally cracked. You planned this. All of it. The failed company story, the humble clothes. The servants' quarters? I stood straightening my Chanel jacket. Considerate research. I needed to understand every inch of my new property. Including the spaces where you hide people you consider beneath you. My phone buzzed again. Quantum computing equipment arriving. East Wing ready for conversion.